We then spent some time learning about the tools of philosophy, the philosophical tools, namely logic and argument analysis. And the reason we went into this was to answer the question, what are good reasons for believing some particular thing? And when you try to figure out what your reasons are, when you articulate, when you say what your reasons are, you find out that what you end up with is an argument. And the tool to help us understand arguments is logic. That is the connection between what we're trying to substantiate and our reasons that we're giving for trying to substantiate. And part of that also is not only the logic, but also to figure out how to analyze arguments in general. And we found arguments have two parts, namely the conclusion, what you believe, what you're trying to substantiate, and then there are premises, which are your reasons for believing whatever it is, whatever your conclusion is. And if you have good reasons for believing, you should have a good argument, which is a sound argument. And we said for an argument to be sound, now that we've lined up our premises and our conclusion, the premises being the reason, the conclusion being the reason for the position that we're arguing for, we also understand that a sound argument, a good argument, requires two things. First of all, you have to have true premises. And when you think about an analogy from a house, for a house to stand, it has to be on a good foundation. If it's going to survive a hurricane, it needs to be on a good foundation, and an argument needs good premises to stand on, and by good, true ones that correctly describe the way the world is. But that's not just good enough, because you have to have a good connection between premises and conclusion. In other words, you need to have a valid argument. The argument has to have the property of being valid, that is, the truth of the premises guaranteeing the truth of the conclusion. And one way to discover that is to look at some good patterns or logical forms of arguments, which we did do. We looked at, some major if-then argument patterns of argument, forms of argument, and of some involving all, the quantifier logic. So we spent some time looking at that to help us evaluate the arguments that we are going to encounter, and we do encounter, in the course of trying to find answers to our philosophical problems.